we were talking about what we could do. If there was something we could do to get together and honor Sensei and remember her, because it just didn't seem right to just let her pass without being able to gather and remember her. So I want this to be sort of a free form. If you have a story to tell, if you have a memory you'd like to share, please feel free to do that. If you just want to watch and listen, that's wonderful also. What I would like to do is, I wrote a tribute for her. I was asked to write a short tribute for Sensei last year, and I would like to read that and then share my screen and about a 3-minute slide presentation of pictures of her, and then a 2-minute video that I found on the internet when she gave a demonstration in Boston. Okay. So I'll show that. So in total, maybe 7-8 minutes if I can take, that much of this time. And then afterwards, I think we'll just open it up and allow people to share stories. If you have pictures, we'd love to see them. We can share your screen. So if that's okay with everyone, let me start with the tribute.
Okay, do you want to ask everyone to mute themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if everyone could mute.
Mute, yeah.
A tribute to Grandmaster Reiko Kawamura. Reiko Kawamura's interest in Ohara Ikebana began when, as a young adult, she attended an exhibition by the third headmaster, Hon Ohara. Quote, "I was amazed by the powerful arrangements he had made," unquote. That single visit began Mrs. Kawamura's life journey to spread the philosophy and beauty of Ohara Ikebana to as many people as possible. She and her late husband, Susumu, arrived in Columbus, Ohio in 1964, where she would eventually be convinced to teach and give demonstrations. After a few years, she and her family moved to Los Angeles, where she met Mrs. Shofu Shohara. Together, they became the driving force of the Los Angeles chapter of the Ohara School. Shortly after she arrived in Los Angeles, she began teaching, soon becoming a member of the Kado Kyoju Kai, the Ikebana Teachers Guild, in time serving as the guild's president. After several years in Los Angeles, Reiko began her studies of the Uda Senke School of Chanoyu, the tea ceremony. She earned her chame, tea name, had a tea house built at her home, and became a tea sensei, teaching weekly. Reiko taught 5 Ohara classes every week, as well as teaching weekly classes at her studio in San Gabriel. She taught at the Los Angeles County Arboretum for over 30 years, at the South Coast Botanical Gardens for over 20 years. Traveling throughout the United States, she gave workshops and demonstrations. Never one to stop learning, she traveled frequently to Japan and to attend exhibitions given by the Ohara School. Mrs. Kawamura was a gifted demonstrator, arranger, and teacher. Her demonstrations revealed the amazing skills she possessed. Her landscapes arrangements conveyed the heat of summer or the coolness of autumn. Her workshops began with an air of excitement and ended with waves of inspiration. Reiko's special gift was to make everyone feel that they were capable of creating beauty with flowers. Kawamura Sensei was an elegant, talented, friendly, and humble artist. When she traveled to give workshops, she was always greeted with big smiles and affectionate hugs by the attendees. They seemed more like friends than students in a class. She had that effect on many people. Grandmaster Kawamura had an amazing journey. Her love of Ohara Ikebana continues in each person she taught. and everyone who saw her demonstrations and anyone who stood in front of her arrangements. She will be sorely missed by so many, but her legacy of creating beauty through Ikebana and tea will live on in those whom she inspired. She was, she is, and she always will be my sensei. And what I would like to do is now start share a screen.
Aw. So I'm going to share again a different.
Like this one or like this one is you let it go freely. But like that one is closer to the base, you use it. But sometimes it's too heavy, so I have to cut that one off. Like this side, or you like this? the other side this way. You are not anchoring it. I have to anchor it. Don't leave those side branches or little twigs. So high school is about to falling down. So that's when you're making the tall vase, when you're placing the branch, you hold your breath. Then my student said, how long should I hold my breath? Should I take this one off? No. We have this one here. Can I believe it?
Okay. And then just one final thing. Again, not everyone heard this story, so let me just move aside for a second. Oh, hold on. Okay. Let me just quickly move aside for a second. So this is the last arrangement I did with Reiko a few years ago. I had this material in my yard. It was on the weekends, and I just called her and said, Sensei, you know, and I described the material I had. Could I get a lesson, please, you know, in the next couple of days or whenever you're free? And she says, well, how about 1 o'clock? I became like a kid in a candy store. It was just, I don't know why. So I went and I cut everything and I put it in buckets and I put it in my truck and I drove down to her studio and she was there and she said she didn't want to give me a lesson. What she would do is she would work with me to create it. So for about an hour we worked on it, and then when I was done, I said I'll leave it here, and because I knew she loved lotus, she loved the leaves, she loved the dried leaves, and I said, so if you want to create something or do something, Sensei, you know, go ahead. Which she ended up doing, you know, when I had left, and there was someone else there at the time. I think it was Hiromi-san had stopped by. But so that's it on my part. I now would like to open it up if someone has a story. You know, you may want to raise your hands. You may want to just unmute and start talking because we have a few screens, and so we may miss you if you raise your hand. So would anyone? Ranelle, go ahead.
I always seem to volunteer, and I just want to say Reiko was so elegant, and the way she handled the flowers, her hands. So, but the first time I met her was when she came to Philadelphia, and it was the Philadelphia Flower Show, and O'Hara was featured, and Professor Kudo came, and she was his interpreter. So we would be driving around, and she sat in the front seat. No, she sat in the back and Kudo sat in the front. And she, the whole time, the whole weekend, the whole week, she would be interpreting. And then the last day, when Bill delivered Kudo to the hotel, he said, "Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it." Well, why did he need an interpreter? I don't know. Anyway, she was here also for one of our meetings, and everyone loved her. She was very creative. She was so easy to get along with. It was just I would say one of the perks of being in Ikebana is meeting people like Reiko. Really.
Absolutely.
I miss
Absolutely.
her.
Yeah.
I didn't see her much, but I'll never forget her.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I'm grateful to Reiko for mentoring you, Jose,
Oh,
so that you can pass on this beautiful art of Ikebana to so many of us. Thank you.
that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, I feel very fortunate that that I found Reiko, and I wanted to. I had heard of the Ohara school. I wanted to take a lesson, but I couldn't find a teacher. Finally, someone says, "Oh, at the Arboretum, there's a sensei, and she has classes outside of the Arboretum." So this was 34 years ago. And I went to the administration at the Arboretum, and I said, "I hear you have an Ikebana teacher." "Oh yeah, Reiko Kawamura." I said, "Could I get her address to, I want to get a hold of her?" "Sure." Now that was back when you could go to where, well, one, people wrote letters, and two, someone would actually give you someone else's address, right? A company would say, "Oh, sure, here."
Right.
Those days are gone, but I wrote her a letter. Never heard back. So this was probably February, March timeframe. In November, I discover there's an II exhibition, and I go, and there's a demonstration. There she is. So someone introduces me to her. I ask if she's there. And I said, "Oh, my name's Jose Safsiena. I wrote you a letter to see if you could take a class, back in March." And Reiko always had this little laugh, just this cute little laugh, like, "Oh yeah." In my mind, I eventually realized it said, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't have expected me to actually respond." But so she apologized. "Oh, I'm sorry, I never replied. I'm really bad. You can start class next week." Okay, and I did. And it started an incredible journey. So I always felt fortunate to have had Sensei as my sensei and mentor.
I'm Midori. I'm one of Reiko's two daughters. My sister Mika is with us also. I don't know if she wants to wave. But anyway, I just want to say my mother loved all her Ikebana and tea students and fellow teachers, but Jose was really special. Jose, you were like a son to her. She had two girls. She never had a son, but Jose was like her son. She really, I mean, she just bragged about Jose and all that he did, and how talented and how kind and what a heart he had, and really, Jose, we're so thankful. I mean, even to the last days, you were there for her, and just thank all of you. And Shohara Sensei, you were like her sister, just her very best friend. And we miss her obviously terribly, but God gave her faith, and we were able to really remind her in the last days that Jesus that's our faith. Anyway, so I just encourage her. Jesus is there, and he's gonna take you to paradise, and we're gonna join you there. And I know she's waiting for for us to join her. And Shohara Sensei, she wanted to live with you and be a roommate here, but in heaven you'll be roommates together at last. So I just want to encourage you all. She's in the best place ever, and so thankful for how all of you loved her so dearly. And And Jose and Armando, thank you so much, and all of you who participated in sending pictures and putting this together. Thank you so much. And we hope that once people get vaccinated and Mika's able to join us here, we'd love to have an in-person memorial. So I look forward to seeing many of you there too. Thank you again.
Thanks, Midori. That's very, very kind. She was a special person, and not only in Ikebana, she was always trying to give her time. So in one of the pictures, you may have seen her in her kimono with the third grade class. So she was always so anxious and willing and giving of her time to teach, especially kids. And so I know she would have a tea ceremony just for, I don't know if it was one of her students' class or her students associated with the school, but she would put on an entire tea ceremony just for the class and have them over. She was always giving up her time in so many ways. And some of the, when I started sending out email that she had passed, some of the responses I got were very moving, of the help she gave, the inspiration she gave to women in particular, and how inspired. One woman said she resurrected her, that she was in a very dark place when she met Reiko, and through Reiko's encouragement and just helped her get to a better place. And so people don't always know that of Reiko because they may have only seen her as a talented Ikebana master, but she was just a wonderful person.
May I say something?
Please. Go ahead.
Yep. I'm Minala Khat from Boston, Ikebana International Boston chapter. And I had the opportunity to meet Reiko Kawamura at one of the Nauta conference in Philadelphia. I was so impressed by her arrangements that for our next Ohara demonstration, I was fortunate to invite her to Boston, and she'd come here for a few years ago, I would say many years ago, but I found her giving so elegantly that without hesitation, she would like so quick, and it looks like so simple, but all the heikas and all the arrangement, it looks so simple, but it was, although at that time I found it was not simple for me. And she gave a workshop and she was always smiling. I haven't seen her not a smile on her face. That was my experience with her. So that's the reason that I just loved her so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. You are absolutely right. She was always smiling. Whenever she corrected your arrangement, she always found something nice to say. Always something positive at the beginning, which made you sort of at ease before she tore it apart and redid it. You know, I tell this story because, again, she had a great sense of humor. When I started learning realistic landscape, yeah, I would have it all, all the branches beautifully moving, what I thought. And so many times she would sit down and she would pause for a second, and she said, "Oh, it's pretty. It looks like it belongs in Barbie's dollhouse." And I would laugh. And then I would just watch her. I would just watch her create this incredible dynamic scene of nature that would never fit in Barbie's dollhouse. But she was always something sweet or funny to say before she then corrected the arrangement. But I learned a lot from that. I try to maybe not say it belongs in Barbie's dollhouse, but I always try to find something positive, even if it's, oh, I like how far you filled the container. Yeah.
She was always at ease
Yeah.
when doing a demonstration.
Yeah.
She was never
Amazing.
tense, never stressed up, nothing.
I was fortunate enough to be able to travel with her when she was still giving workshops. And I remember like one of the first times going to the chapter, we had just arrived and she had ordered anthuriums, but she needed them like 1.5 feet long. Well, what came were less than 1 foot long. And in my mind, I was freaking out. What, oh my God, we can't, And she never did anything but just smile, and she says, oh, okay, well, let's do this then. Again, I've learned. And she, even when she wasn't teaching, there was so much to learn from her. Yeah.
Jose, I have a couple of stories
Please.
I'd like to share with the group.
Please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Armando Argandoña, and I'm a student of Jose's. It's kind of coincidental that the video clip that we have is of a Reiko design, because that, as Jose will attest to, is one of my nemesis. I still find that after years of study to be difficult to complete and show well. One time we were at the studio, I was, with Jose doing the lesson with the class, and I had just completed the design, the Reiko design, and Jose had corrected it. And Reiko would oftentimes come into the studio just to say hi and, touch base with everyone in the studio, which is where I got to know her. And I remember her coming in, and I was off to one of the sides there, and I said, Reiko, look. And I took the design and I shook the vase a little bit, which is kind of a test to make sure that it didn't all fall apart. And thank God it didn't. And it was interesting to see Reiko's face, because Reiko had a very demure style to herself, and all she did was smile, and she just went like this, just that little nod that she often gave. And then she goes, keep practicing. So I'm so happy that it didn't fall apart, first of all, and second of all, like she acknowledged, and as she always said, keep on studying, keep on practicing. And I would have to agree with Beverly earlier, who said that one of Reiko's legacy is Jose, because it's through Jose that we are able to know her and learn from her through Jose. The other story that I wanted to share is every year in December, early December, she would organize a holiday, Christmas celebration at Shiro's restaurant. And I went for years. And in fact, I think I met Midori there at the last one that we had. And it was always a great event, great food, great atmosphere. She always had her games that she prepared and little gifts that she would give out. And I guess it was what always made me feel so good about going is there was this constant smile, and you saw it in her eyes, the joy that she experienced by having everyone come together and enjoy company and community and good food and just have a really, really good time. So those memories are going to be very, very strong in my mind over the years, as to when she used to gather us as a community of Ikebana teachers and students at Shiro's restaurant. I also just wanted to mention that Diana Kealoha has an arrangement that she made in honor of Reiko, and hopefully she'll be able to share that with us as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Armando. And what she did with Armando's arrangement, his tall vase, is something she used to do. You know, I would be in there 3 hours to try to get a Heiko arrangement to stay in place. And she would come and I would like, okay, onegaishimasu, please, you know, can you correct me? And she would come up and she would just grab it and she would shake it. Brrr, everything would come down. It was kind of like that, you know, the Kung Fu TV series, Take the Pebble from My Hand. You know, let me shake the vase and see what happens. And then in 30 seconds or less, she would recreate the arrangement, looking so much better. And then she would shake it and nothing would move. And the first few times it was followed by, okay, now I know what it's supposed to happen. And every once in a while, I threaten my students to do the same to them, but rarely do I do that. But anyway, again, funny, good sense of humor she had.
Jose?
Yes.
Hi, I have like a funny little anecdote. I'll speak on behalf of my grandmother, who is seen in a lot of the different slideshows. I think speaking at something like this is not going to be her strongest thing, but I just wanted to let everybody know how much my grandmother spoke about Mrs. Kawamura in her entire life. She said she was one of my best friends. She enjoyed their trips together, things like that. And I don't know if anybody else knows here, but my Japanese name is also Reiko after.
Oh.
So that's a sentiment to her, you know, closeness in their relationship. And one of the funny stories that my grandmother would tell me over the years about them going on different trips and things like that was how when my grandma's in a rush, she has a tendency to walk hunched over and she rushes really fast. And Mrs. Kawamura would, you know, tell her, stand up straight. And she would say, you know, you're not going to get there any faster by leaning over. And she said that was something that my grandmother told me over the years, because I would tell her too, like, hey, stand up straight. And she said, oh, Mrs. Kawamura is always reminding me that your nose is not going to get there any faster than your leg. That was just a funny memory that I wanted to share. It's not probably the most sentimental to flowers.
No, it's funny because you're right. It's hard to find pictures of Reiko where Mrs. Shohara isn't in them. Not that I was trying to do that, but they were just very good friends. I know they were. It was always great. You always wanted to go. They always shared a room whenever they went to workshops in Japan. And you always wanted to go to their room because Mrs. Shohara and Miss Kawamura would have a stash of treats, of sweets, bags of coffee, you know, instant coffee. So I always wanted to like get an invitation, especially early in the morning when I wanted some coffee, because they couldn't be bothered to go have breakfast or lunch. They always had a good stash of snacks and food in their rooms. Yeah.
Don't forget, they always had wine.
Oh, that
They were like major partiers. I don't know why they invited me because I don't drink. It was nice to watch them partying. And yes, they were always roommates. And I have fond memories of both of them always sharing their room. Sometimes there's even a third person in the room on a cot. So yes, they always went everywhere together, and I have great memories of them. They were the reason why I study Ohara. I went to an II meeting like 25 years ago, and they were the demonstrator for Ohara to represent Ohara. And, you know, at our first II meetings, there usually is a Sogetsu demonstrator, an Ikenobo demonstrator, and they represented Ohara. And I was sold when I saw their arrangements. And I enjoy watching both of them create a rimpa, each starting on opposite ends and they would end up in the middle, and the arrangement would be perfect. You just were like right hand and left hand. They were just amazing. And Mrs. Kawamura's style, I just, you know, I was so influenced by her style also. She did effortlessly like a freestyle and landscape, you know, beautifully. Heika, you know, where I would struggle like Jose for 3 hours. And then, you know, she and Mrs. Shohara would just do it like minutes. It's amazing. So they were, she was a huge influence. They both were a huge influence in my life. And Mrs. Shohara still is. And I do miss Mrs. Kawamura. And I see her spirit in Jose whenever he does an arrangement. I miss having, you know, when we traveled, having meals with them. They were always, you know, happy to try different foods. Yeah, it's just the last time I saw her, it's funny, she always called me by my full name. She never would just say Katie. She would say Katie Ho whenever she says hello to me. So that was kind of, you know, that's my, some of my memories of her.
Thanks, Katie.
Can I share the story?
Certainly.
Hi, I'm Mayumi, and she was my great Ikebana teacher, my mentor, my American mother. I just about cry, but I want to share this story. She has such a great sense of humor. This is something that I know she was so charming. And I think I can tell you guys now that she let me. She got caught by police one time. Okay, so I used to help her going to a flower market. And she loved speeding. And she loved to take a Pasadena freeway instead of the other freeway. So she used to tell me, hang in there. So I was like, how fast she drives. And also she knew those professional racers' names she really loved, you know. So she was telling me, I was not there, but she said she was telling me, oh, I got caught by her police. I think she came in front of police on freeway. Did you hear that story?
No.
So, oh, you did. Then police stopped her and why you cut in my front? And she said to the police, oh, if I knew you were in the back, I didn't do that. And I think police just got impressed, like how funny and how charming she is. I think police said, okay, be careful next time. That's my sensei. I was just loved. And another story that she was my leading mom, like my daughter. I've been a single mom. She was really my mental support. I was so busy with my work, but I really had to see her. So even though I did not have a time for flower arrangement class, I went. And I went, you know, to her class. Okay, then she made the tea for me. Relax, right? And when she got in, my daughter got in college. And one day, you know, she asked me, how's your Susan? And she already asked me about my daughter. And one time she brought me this box, and here, and it was so heavy. And I opened, it was all quarter coin. And she knew that my daughter needed another coin to do her laundry. I'm sorry. I still remember how heavy it was. Thank you. That's all. I have so many stories, but I just wanted to share how kind, how charming she was. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayumi-san.
Jose, this is Teresa Lin.
Hi,
Can you
Teresa.
share something? Yeah.
Certainly, please.
Sensei was also very adventurous with humor. I remember around her 78th birthday, she got a ticket to go to a skydiving. She was so excited about that. And as soon as I think that was in the afternoon, as soon as I stepped into the class, the studio, she couldn't wait and went to the refrigerator. There's a picture, you know, shot by the trainer or something. She took that, and at the doorstep, she said, "Look at this, I went on skydiving." She was so excited, couldn't wait to share with me. And she said, "I went there." So I asked her, "How did you get there? Was this dangerous or something?" She said, "Oh, I got lucky from the auction. I bid and I got this, but I didn't tell my husband because he would stop me." So I said, "You go, so how did you feel?" He said, "Well, a little bit, not so much concern, but before she went on that skydiving, she asked her to sign all the papers. So she said, I read the first and the second. So many words are coming out. The most often frequently shown up is the accident, death or something. And I decided I don't want to read it anymore. Sign everything." And I went on with the trainer. That I said, "How did you feel up there?" She said, "Oh, she always wanted to be like a bird, to be free." So she said, "Oh, my lips with the wind." She was like a kid, so enjoying. And she said, "Oh, I feel I was like a bird." Very good, no scared. You look at the sky, you look at the land. And then she said, "Oh, I finished my trip. I always want to be like that, like a bird." So she was excited. And I said, "What did your husband say?" She said, "Well, I went out and afterwards I told him." And then he said, "Nothing, because you are safe home." So it was the right decision not to tell him. I think that was Sensei's humor. And also one more thing. I think one year, 2000 something, there was a big wind. So her one big tree at her yard tipped over. So all the roots all came up. So we were kind of asking Sensei what happened. She said, "Oh, nothing. Our house is so everything is okay." Then we were doing landscape. Then she gave us the material. She said, "Yeah, come out. There may be a very nice landscape." You know, I learned from her accepting the nature, because I also had the opportunity to go to the market with her. She would share some Japanese philosophy, accepting it, and then you take the best advantage out of it. I also, on the way, I remember, I always ask her, "Sensei, sometimes I like to learn something else, because I think I'm not from Japanese culture. I didn't know that you focus on one thing." So to a certain time, I said, "Sensei, I want to learn this." And then at first time, I remember, she said, "Well, you will be confused. Maybe you want to wait." And then later she said, "Well, you were busy with the children. Yeah, maybe later." And the very recent one, I think before she failed, she finally told me on the freeway 110, really, she liked to drive fast. I said, oh, Sensei, maybe we'll talk about that later. She said, I said, Sensei, can I learn something from that? She said, well, you know, a person can never master one thing all through a person's life. That's the spirit of learning Ikebana. Oh, and I realized the spirit of devotion from Japanese culture, also from her life, to devote and really pass down this to the students. So I'm very grateful. And her grace, her kindness, and even when I was learning, my kids, I have to pick them up at 3 o'clock. So I brought them to the studio. She was always, so kind and gentle and inspiring. My boy was around like a 7 or 8, was taking the toothpick and the rubber band and making the bow, shooting something and using the material. She joined him. She said, oh, what did you do? Oh, you do this and shooting flowers something. So that was a very great memory for my boy. They remember Sensei and also her pig, Abigail. And later, she adopted one of my chinchilla, Cholo-chan. So when she held Cholo-chan at her home, I saw Sensei's face was just like an innocent child enjoying and petting the pet. So I still have my chinchilla, but I remember all good memory. And she told me how to be in a Ikebana. One more thing I would say, I think I took a test for third term master. I didn't know about the system until that you go higher to second. It's not going to fourth, fifth. Once I passed that, the day she congratulated me, but later student left, only me and her. She asked me one thing, I always remember. She said, did you feel the competition? I said, oh yeah. Then she told me, always compare with yourself. Learn from others. It's a good thing you adopt it. If it's not, you always learn from them. I think she not only teach me to be to learn Ikebana, she also taught me life philosophy, how to deal. So she is a very gentle and kind teacher to me. I always remember her. Yeah, thank you.
She did love to drive quickly. We used to once a year the LA County county fair would have a display, an Ikebana display, and you always had to make the arrangements either before the fair opened or after. So if you needed to set it up or to go replace something, it was after hours, before hours or after hours. And I remember we had either made it or we had gone to replace something. And so it's like 10 o'clock at night and I'm on the freeway and I leave maybe 10 minutes before Reiko. And I'm heading home, okay? And this is when the speed limit was 55 a few years ago. And all of a sudden I see in the back, in my rear view mirror, this car just sort of coming. I'm like, what the hell, guy, you know, there's no traffic, okay, but what do you do? And as it goes back, I turn around and there she is driving, okay? So the next time I saw her, I asked her, I saw, it was like a rocket, Reiko, you were, and I get, this little smile. And she said, well, I learned to drive when the speed limit was 75. And of course, you always go 10 miles over the speed limit. So I would go 85. And I'm like, yeah, but Reiko, the speed limit's only 55. Oh yeah, but I learned back then. And you're like, oh, okay. She just liked to go fast.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jose. I'm going to leave.
Okay, Renelle. Well, thank you so much for
It was
joining us.
wonderful. It was wonderful,
Thank you.
and I appreciate it. I miss her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch.
Well, please, please.
Jose, why don't we go to other people to talk? Like
Certainly.
me
If anyone would like
Yeah,
to share,
me-
please.
or, you know, other people. I'm sure.
Meg, you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just shy. And I am one of her Friday tea ceremony class student. So this kimono that I'm wearing right now is a kimono and obi, both is from Sensei, Kawamura Sensei. And it happened to be the video clip you showed in the beginning, she wearing the same obi that I'm wearing right now. So I just always, oh my God. Anyway, I just feel like as a beneficiary of her being her student, just you know, often just feel like so being accepted and loved and cared because of her character. I mean, just full of love and grace. And every Friday, just no matter what happens outside of the world, crazy work, family, whatever, but step into tea room, it just makes you so peaceful and just forget about everything else, focus on the moment, enjoy the moment, and being served, and at the same time you serve other people. So anyway, that just yeah, I just very grateful, thankful and grateful for being her student for more than 10 years. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Meg. I really
Can I
appreciate
say
that.
something?
Oh, please, yes.
I just wanted to say that Reiko Kawamura was a gracious lady. Every year when we had the Catan and we were setting up on Saturday morning, she would always come in very cheerful to check her students' arrangements, like Teresa Lynn and Katie Ho. And we always appreciated everything what Kawamura Sensei did. Also, Shihara Sensei was always there. And we at Ikebana International really loved them when they would come in. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. Jose, you're wonderful. The best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pearl. You're very kind. You're very kind.
What a lovely tribute to Sensei Kawamura. Having you and Teresa and Katie and Shihara Sensei and everybody. Just marvelous. We love you, Jose. Thank you.
I love you too, Pearl. Thank you.
Jose, can I say a few words?
Oh, please, Grace.
Hi, I did not have the honor of knowing Kawamura Sensei, but through today's wonderful, wonderful tribute, I feel like I've gotten to know her a little bit. From all that you have said, she was the most gracious, kind person, as well as being an amazingly talented Ikebana artist. And I think her legacy lives on legacy and spirit lives on through all of my Ohara friends living in North America. So thank you for this wonderful, wonderful occasion. It was very touching for me, and I really wish I had the chance to know her, but her spirit lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace.
I'd like to thank you for putting this together. I'm like Grace. I never knew Reiko. I only have known her through Jose and what he has taught us at our seminars in Highlands. And I just am just so, just have such a sense of her through all of you and what you've had to say and how much she meant to so many people. So I'm just grateful to have witnessed this, and thank you for all that you've said, everybody.
Thank you, Julia. Would anyone else like to?
Oh,
Hiromi-san? Oh, hi, Miki. How are you, Miki-san?
From Dallas. I was Kawamura's T student for about 3 years and Jose Sensei's Ikebana student. And Kawamura Sensei taught me how to enjoy tea ceremony, and she is the one who showed me how to be a Tajin. And I really miss Kawamura Sensei, but spirit and her thought is, I think, in everybody's heart. And we can carry her teaching in like many generations. I'm so grateful to have such a nice teacher. And Jose Sensei and Armando, thank you very much for setting up this gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Miki. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Miki-san.
Jose, I think Hiromi wanted to say something.
Hiromi-san, please.
Hi, everybody. And then I really want to say thank you to Jose making this event. Sorry.
It's all right.
So, yeah. So unfortunately, we have a pandemic problem, so we didn't have a chance to get together. But I really appreciate what you did. And I just sent some, probably many pictures, and thank you for using many of them. So it is not just a picture. So each picture, each moment, I have a lot of many memory of that. So I'm a Ohara school member, Ikebana member. My immediate teacher is wonderful Mrs. Shohara Sensei. So if I had progress from my beginner's level, that's because of Shohara Sensei's wonderful class, and she taught everything to me. But also as a Los Angeles chapter Ohara member. So I'm under the Ohara school, and then other wonderful teacher, Mrs. Kawamura, and then already passed away, Mrs. Latz, Mona Latz. So unfortunately, I didn't take their class, or they didn't teach me the technique, but I received a big lesson, or they taught a lot. What they did for me is they told me, enjoy Ikebana. It's not just, I'm always struggling to make better Ikebana, or how to improve my technique. But they don't teach me the technique. They said, enjoy. That was the special like a philosophical teach. So I really appreciate, I had an opportunity to meet them. And also I'm a Kawamura Sensei's tea ceremony class student. I love the tea ceremony and I love the class, but I think whenever she had the tea class on Saturday morning, I tried to not to miss the class, because I really enjoy the time spending with her. So not only enjoy learning the tea ceremony, I think the most important thing was spending time with her. And so I was laughing at everybody talking about her driving. So, but one time she told me during the tea class, oh, recently I get tired easily. When I went to the South Coast Botanical Garden, after the class, I took a nap at the, I think McDonald's parking lot. Nap. And then she felt bad just taking a nap at the parking lot. And then she get inside and then try to get to like a smoothie thing. And she said, probably they remember the staff members, they remembered me. And without ordering, they just give that like a blueberry or some smoothies. And then she came back to home, but sometimes I felt so sleepy, but I didn't make accident. Oh. So I'm so glad. They said, don't make any accident. Don't sleep on the free. So, and the other thing, when Yoko Higashi sensei came to Los Angeles, and it was his first time he gave a workshop. And then after the workshop, I think some of our board members, we went to karaoke place. So, and it was my first time to listen her singing Besame Mucho. So that she was good at it, and she loves singing. So that was funny. So I really enjoy her singing. And later, even she was staying at the nursing home. She was singing some like a Camellia song, but I've never heard that song, but I knew she loves singing too. So more I can't talk every my good memory with her, but I was so happy I had the chance to meet her. So thank you. Thank you, Jose, for organizing this special moment. Thank you. Sorry, talking too long.
Just as you tell stories, it just brings back memories of other stories. So thank you, Hiromi-san. I appreciate that. So just to let everyone, it's been an hour. We can continue this. I understand some people may have other things they need to get to, and so if you feel the need, please, either stay with us or if you have to leave, thank you for joining us.
Jose?
Yes.
Can I say something real quick before people leave? I just wanted to let people know that Reiko spent many years teaching at the Arboretum. And so Ikebana International with Jessica and Fukuyo coming into the presidency have agreed that when things settle down a little bit more, that we will be in contact with the Arboretum to see if we can honor her and memorialize her there at the Arboretum where she spent so many years by planting a tree. So we'll be in touch with everyone at a later point in time when that happens, okay? Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Armando. She used to, again, when you spend 30 years with someone, you hear stories that are relevant, not relevant. You just hear life stories. And somehow, many years ago, we were talking. Reiko was not known for being on time. She just wasn't. She admitted it, and she once told me that she and her family were talking, and she had said, "Oh, when." She would laugh. She would say, "Oh, I told them when I die, I want to be cremated. I want my ashes thrown around flowering trees." She thought that would be a wonderful thing, and that her daughters would say, "But Mom, that means the tree's going to bloom late every year." And I used to laugh at that because as busy as she was, she could not make it on time, to save anything. So, she had a great sense of humor.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, Pearl.
Okay. Sensei Kawamura had a very good sense of humor. And one day, like I said, when we had the katan, she was always there first thing in the morning when we were setting up. And I think she was on her way to check on Teresa Lynn. But she stopped by and she said, "That's your arrangement?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "You made an O'Hara arrangement."
Pearl is so good too.
Yeah, she was just a wonderful, gracious lady. That's all I can say. And all of you at O'Hara, just terrific. Thank you so much. You made our day.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jose, and everybody.
Any more stories that people would like to share or thoughts? Okay, well then, I just want to thank everyone again for joining us. We didn't know how this was going to turn out. We wanted to do something special for a very special person, and I think we did that. I think you guys did that. So as much as we miss Sensei,
thank you, Jose and Armando. Now I feel much better, and Midori-san really took care of her that year of Sensei.
Yeah.
Kawamura Sensei will live on in all of our arrangements, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To this day, when I make an arrangement, I think I'm 80% there. Sensei, what do I need to do?
You both honored her graciously. I just wish I could have known Reiko like you. I only knew her through the II meetings. I feel blessed that you have shared all those wonderful memories and experiences with this awesome woman that goes beyond Ikebana. She's God, she was my kind of person. I love it. I'm late all the time.
I use her as an example when some of my students say, "Oh, I can't, I can't cut through this branch." Reiko in her late 70s would show what she would do. Incredible superwoman. Incredible superwoman.
Yeah.
I want to thank so many of you who really helped me. It just was such an honor to, love and really it was the Lord. I got to really see the Lord, love her and take care of her through my hand and through so many of your hands, and I mean, so many of you came, Jose, Mayumi-san, Hiromi and Rick, Armando, Sherry Lynn, Teresa, Miki-san, Yumiko-san, you just really loved her to the end. And that just blessed my heart. And I know it blessed her heart. She couldn't express much at the end, but it's in her heart. And that's just, I just don't have enough words of thanks. And I've gained you as my friends, that's a gift and legacy to me. So thank you so much. And thank you again for this day, all of you, and especially Armando and Jose for making it happen. And we look forward to being able to get together, with many of you in town, maybe even through the Arboretum thing, and hopefully we'll get to, when Mika gets here, we'll plan a memorial, another one in person, God willing.
Well, thank you, Midori, for joining us. Thanks everyone for being part of this. Sensei is with us in our memories and in the work we do with our hands. So her smile is still, I can still hear her say, it belongs in Barbie's dollhouse. That's, and I say that with love. I say that with love. So thank you so much for joining us, for allowing us to sort of get this off of our chest and share.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose and Armando.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.